Showtime.
Only slabs.
Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. It's Rob here in front of the Great Wall of Comics. We're back. We're back again. 1 week away, 1 week off. Although, while we weren't here, Chris and I, we were together.
It's
It was
true.
great to see. It was great to be with you in person.
The pleasure was all mine, my man. It was very short notice for me, as you know.
I'm sure it was all your pleasure
Yeah,
because you got to be around the mustache.
I was going to say all the great books that you picked up, but sure we can talk about the mustache. So
yeah, we're not really here to talk about the Heroes Con pickups. Heroes Con was great. We were there. There'll be more stuff about that later in other videos because today we're back at our usual routine, which means it's all about the guest. And this week, I have been excited to get this guest on and happy to have her kick off our fourth season of OnlySlabs, as I've decided to arbitrarily make 100 episode 101 the fourth season. Ladies and gentlemen, Dragon Ink Comics, thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Jamie.
Hi. Thank you for having me on. I really feel like I missed out on Heroes Con this year after seeing some of the pickups you guys got.
Oh, wow. Was it insane? I mean, I go to I'm missing today in my area, San Francisco Bay Area. The Berkeley Comic Show is today, which of course is just a beautiful old school, nothing but comics in a high school gym. But this is taking that and just multiplying it by 100, and nothing but like 100, at least 100 comic book vendors there.
Yeah.
And there were some vendors that were overpriced as usual, but there were a lot that were there to sell and a lot of deals to be had. And holy cow, did we do great. But again,
tend to pick stuff up right now too.
Oh, yes. And again, we're here, though, about you and your collection today. And we're also here, though, about the chat. So before we get into it, why don't we play Romper Room?
Romper Bomper, Stomper Boo, tell me, do. Magic Mirror, tell me today, did all of my friends have fun at play?
Well, I hope they did, because Lucretius is here. Woohoo! Hooray! Yeah, boy. Hulk Collector 82, Kevin, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming out with us. Lucretius, all the way from New Mexico. Of course, John's Comics and Kids. Yes, hello, all the friends. Happy to have you with us. Oh, man. Matt was just as much as a goof in person as he is in reality. Great time with Comics by the Bay. Trev, the shipping guru, good afternoon to you and all the henchmen. Absolutely. The henchmen, of course, are channel members. Next week will be time to select another henchman of the month award, or recognition. That'll be great. We'll do that spin live on the show. Let's see who else we got here joining us this morning. Shop for Comics, the creator of the Shopverse. Of course, I posted today on IG the 3 prototype cards variations that I created using the Shopverse art, the 3 different variants of Fat Stacks in the Shopverse. If I don't get shut down by the time council, whatever, time cops. I don't know what the hell. I can't remember what they're called. What are they called? The TVA, right? Yeah. Time Cops is a different movie.
Van Damme, that was a good reference, man.
Wow. Collecting with Durs. Yes, hello to all the beautiful homies. Durs in person, as much a bubbly,
positive,
happy persona as he is online. Phenomenal. Pleasure meeting you and your girlfriend. Happy to meet you guys both. Lone Eagle Comics, hello, how are you today? El Green Machine is here. Hello to everybody. Up super early in the morning, as always, supporting us. Mad Spidey, I hope you enjoyed getting to sleep in last week. Because it's like dark 30 in it's not even dark 30 yet. It's just even darker 30 in Australia right now. Wayne Deacon, good hello, all the way from the UK. Happy to have you here. Just got notification that his wife got the package was a winner last time
Yes.
on OnlySlabs. Received their package perfectly fine. Comics with Murdoch. Hello, everybody from Canada, checking in. Happy to have you here with us. Kenneth Bird is here, everybody. Hello to you, sir. Appreciate you. Scrolling through here. Want to make sure. Oh, hey, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Poke Can Joe. Phenomenal. Again, getting a chance. I didn't get a chance to hang out with Joe as much as I wanted. I got somehow really distracted at Heroes Con, or focused, I guess is probably the proper term. I got in my own world and kind of tuned out almost everybody else.
Yeah.
I realize in hindsight now. PSN Great Hulkster, hey, hello to you. Johnny Five Alive, hello to everyone. Happy to have you join us. Mr. Comics 89 just got back from whitewater rafting. That's phenomenal. Glad that's always fun. I took the missus whitewater rafting down the Klamath one time. We drove up to Oregon and went whitewater rafting. It was quite fun.
What's the name of the river?
The Klamath. It's between. It runs between the Oregon and California border.
Okay.
So it runs from Oregon in through.
So is that like the Western Rockies then?
No, the Rockies are the Rockies. It's the river is just a river.
I mean, does it come from? Never mind.
No. See, Stephen C. Good afternoon to all the henchmen. Happy to have you. Jason never could figure out surprise show up. Well, actually, I knew he was coming at the last minute, but happy to have Jason get a chance to hang out with us Friday night at the World of Beers community gathering. That was awesome.
Flash movie.
Yeah, and at the Flash movie, absolutely. The Adventurous Joe's here. Happy to have him with us. But scrolling through, see if I see anybody else. Hulk, everybody, Hulk Collector, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think we got to the end of the chat. I think we got everybody. If I missed anyone, I super duper apologize. Want to get into some books, but just before we do that, we do, of course, have to do the usual thing, which is we have to say thank you. Oh, Triple G Comics, thank you, Chris, for calling out. I missed Triple G. Guys, 100% of the Just Channel's revenue goes to Comics Curing Cancer, which is an official campaign of the American Cancer Society. So that's the ad revenue, the channel membership, merch, everything, super chats, everything. We are really close on pace this month to getting our first $200 month to Comics Curing Cancer. So hopefully we'll be able to hit that. Consider hitting that like button throughout. That helps get us in front of more eyeballs, gets more ad revenue. Becoming a channel member, it's $3.99 a month if you're so inclined or so able, or also super chats throughout the show. Great, we appreciate that. Want to say thank you to all those channel members, the henchmen that make this possible on an ongoing basis. The Comic Vet, Nick's Kicks and Comics, Travis Vick, Sixth Face, Chris at Retro Rocket Comics, Stephen C, Actual Dracula, Jack B Comics, Tate Prime, PSN Green Hulkster, Digger Jim 720, Legion of Comics, Blue Hellion Comics, Dr. Von Hoot's Comics from the Spiral Dimension, Comic Ozzy, Flo Dameron, Beckerman, DJ Links, Remy Q Studios, Comics by the Bay, Sector 2815, Gary B. the Casual Comic Guy, The Real James Willie, Dale of Suspense Comics, The Comic Viking, Circumstances, Flex with Durs, Chaos in Comics, Shattered Glass Comic Reviews, Marty Alecko, Justin Birch Letters, Trev, the shipping guru. Man, I'm tripping over my own tongue now. Comic Journey, TM Nerdy, Matt268, Comics with Murdoch, Austin LeMay, Norenrad 82, Comic Man Andy, Mad Spidey, Cup of Comics, Burke Family 54 Comics, Switch Comics, Ben Parker Comics, Seth 11, Hulk Collector 82, Brian LCS, El Green Machine, Izzyverse NYC Comics, A Comic Bookworm, Jean Malo, Cole's Comics Claims, Chuck Hensey, Lone Eagle, Comicverse, KDBM, Cat Fan, Comics Man, Taylor Winder, Triple G Comics, Noggin Comics, Aggressively Relaxing, Collectible Inc., and Chop and Drop 13. We are now up to 63 channel members. Thank you guys all very much. As your continued contribution to Comics Curing Cancer, it really is what helps kick this off. And our big push will be coming October 20th through the 22nd. That'll be our big 3-day weekend event. Make sure you mark your calendar or start looking out if you want to make a contribution or something to donate. You don't necessarily want money, but you got an extra slab or something laying around that you want to donate to that cause. Start looking around now and reach out to me because we'll be doing that event in October. setting our goal at $25,000 this year, because last year, thanks to this community, we raised just over $22,000 for the Cancer Society. So thank you guys so much for that. All right. We've done that. We've tooted our own horn. We've said all that. Let's throw up this banner. Ladies and gentlemen, our guests, make sure you give them a follow today on Instagram at Dragon Inc. Comics and on YouTube at Dragon Inc. Comics. Phenomenal channel. Lots of great books to show off. And here, Jamie, how did Dragon Inc. Comics, how'd you come up with that name?
Well, I've been into dragons since I was like a little kid. And I ended up actually setting up a publication company called Dragon Publications. I actually self-published fantasy work that I did when I was in college. And so it sort of just developed from, again, that love of dragons and then having that other name and just kind of morphing it into something new. I also had some like characters made for that publication company, and one had like a pen with like a lot of ink dripping off of it. So I thought, I'm just sort of recycling content that I already have. So, it just made sense.
Continue to utilize the branding you built up.
Exactly.
I'm all for that. All right. Well, go ahead and tell anybody anything you'd like to do about introducing yourself and your show, and then let's just get it. We'll dig into some books here.
So, my show is pretty basic. I pretty much drink a lot on the show and unbox things.
Well, here's that.
Yeah, I got my coffee. I got a little Bailey's just in case I need it later. But I try to create like silly introductions to my videos, and that's kind of like a staple of mine that I do.
That's what I think I love. I always love the whimsy.
Yeah, so most of the video goes into like the first like 20 seconds, and the rest of it's just fluff of me unboxing something. So, for those that like my channel, most people just like that part. So I've been a collector off and on since like the early 90s. And what got me into collecting was like Vertigo DC kind of stuff. Like that was my entryway into comics. Yep. Sandman Mystery Theater, what else did I love? The original, or the is it the James Robinson Starman series, which was the Jack Knight series. I just freaking love that, and that was my entry into like JSA. And I have a lifelong love for Golden Age JSA. The other thing that I read was independent comics. So Turtles, Usagi Yojimbo, like that I love. I just love that stuff. So most of what I'm going to show you today is independent comics from the 80s, early JSA stuff, so early DC stuff. And my other big love is Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Which, I just love collecting those books. And I feel like a lot of them are undervalued. Not all of them, but some of them. So that's pretty much what I'll be showing. I have
awesome.
3 pieces of original art that I'm going to show off, but I promise not to overdo that. So I think if you want to, I'll start just showing off some books.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Absolutely.
Okay. So this one really goes without introduction. This is video number 2.
Yeah.
So everyone knows this book. It's the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. These staples. It's like the quality of some of the materials used by independent comic makers were not so great, and sometimes that affects their value. And this is of course the back cover on it. Now, one of the pieces of original art that I'm going to show you, which is a very special piece in my collection, which I normally have up on the wall, is this, which is actually a cover proof of the book that was done before the book. And as you can see, it's different. It has a different back cover. It has a different front cover. So Steve Galacci was working with Stan Sakai on this book, and he was using silk screening to try to make the cover. So silk screening is like technique that was originally developed like in Japan, I think, or in Asia. And so they were like, just like, trying something new, right? And so they kept trying to make this cover doing silkscreen, and it was a failure. So there only ended up to be about 12 of these that survived. A lot of them were destroyed. So this, is just a very unique piece and really one of a kind. Yeah.
So, Jamie, did you end up having to pick this up off eBay, or did you pick it up from Stan Sakai himself? Like, how did you come across this piece?
So I found it for sale on a comic website. I can't remember which one. And then I actually found out who the seller was, and it was actually somebody in Australia.
Oh, okay.
But what I did to authenticate is I actually sent it to Steve Galacci.
Oh.
So I've developed a relationship with Steve, and so I sent it to him. And actually, on the back, you can't see it because it's framed. He actually wrote a little letter and did some little characters just to authenticate that the piece was real.
Oh,
and
so you have some provenance. Very nice.
Yeah, and he was the one that said there's like 12 of them that probably survived.
Very cool.
So, and it was really that piece that got me back into collecting. So all those poor collectors out there who have outbid and bought comics that they wanted, that's the reason right there. That's what got me back in about 4 or 5 years ago. So that's kind of a big one. And I wanted to share a similar issue that I think has a really interesting piece of history that I think not a lot of people know about. So the next comic is this one, which is typically considered the second appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. And this is why people like it, is because it has this great pinup on the back. But you might notice that it has a 3 as if it's, and a price sticker as if it's a cover. And that's because it actually is a cover. So this is actually the second cover. And what Stan Sakai and Steve Galacci did is they created a comic that you can actually read this way too, like a manga. So I'm trying to get CGC to recognize that, so they will actually put this cover on the front, which would be really cool.
Right.
Because normally people think of this as the second Usagi Yojimbo cover, but really it's this. It's just,
I did not know that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So and not a lot of people talk about that too, so I think it's Usagi Yojimbo for independent comic collectors is very well known. I think many of us were disappointed with the Netflix show. Is kind of like a kid's show. There's such great material out there, especially with the new IDW series. I'm sure many people like it, but Usagi Yojimbo is
because Usagi Yojimbo was not meant for children at all.
No,
no, it's not meant for children.
No, it's like the original Turtles series. Like I would get the Turtles books, and my parents were like, they thought it was cute because they saw the cartoon, and like those comics were not cute.
No, they're not meant for children at all.
So, but I've always had a love for those, and that kind of leads me to what I would consider one of my comic grails that I have showed off on the channel before, but I just love showing off these particular books. And this is my copies of Gobbledygook 1 and 2.
Oh,
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, goes without question, right? These are really big books, and they're very rare books. So for those of you out there that are watching the Dodo, these are the first books that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird ever made, and considered to be the first appearance of the the Fugitoid, right? And of course, these are famous because you got the first images of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the back. So about 50 printed, only about 24 have been graded at CGC. And the reason why is that they were Xeroxed. So CGC for a long time would not authenticate these. And what collectors like me did, so I got my copies about in like 2012. we would have to go find Kevin Eastman at a show, let him look through the books, and then pretty much write a little letter that said, yes, these are part of the authentic 50. Later, Kevin Eastman started doing signings at CGC. So I sent them to CGC for a signing so that they could actually be authenticated. So that's really what you have to do.
Crazy.
And
So
what's even crazier, oh, go ahead.
Jimmy, I was going to say, now we all know that when Kevin Eastman signs, he usually does a quick remark of one of the turtles. So both of these books, as we can see, are yellow labeled. Now, would you mind showing what the signature looks like? Did he put any remarks on there or any little doodles, or is it just
Nope.
just a standard signature?
So he just did the standard signature, and that was actually per my request. I actually didn't want him to write on the cover. He did, which is okay. You know what I mean? He was very respectful where he put the signature.
Yeah.
I would have preferred him just to put it inside.
Yeah.
You know, but if
Yeah,
you're
at
going
least
to
it's
put
just
it
on
on
the
there,
border.
you can barely see it.
Yeah, it's on the border. It's not covering. It's not across the middle of the artwork or anything.
Yeah. So what could be bigger than having a gobbledygook 1 or 2?
Get ready.
The only thing bigger is to have original art from gobbledygook 1 or 2. And I have 2 pieces of original art from these books. And they're the first one is a key page from gobbledygook 1. And this is the key page where you actually see the professor. And when he first meets the Fugitoid, who he's going to pretty much embody, right? He pretty much downloads his consciousness into the Fugitoid. So I got this also about 10 years ago, and you could still get original art fairly well priced. And I picked up this piece, which again, I don't even know how you could find this stuff nowadays. You know,
not Eastman stuff, that's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the early turtle stuff is still probably worth more than this stuff from these first 2 comics, but just like all this Eastman stuff has, at least the rare stuff, it's super hard to find now.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then so that's from issue 1, and then from issue 2, I have this really cool splash page that's like at the back. Sorry, I can't. Really bad at like putting some. This is just like a fun splash page from issue 2. Again, just to have original art from the first 2 gobbledygooks is just such a cool thing.
Yeah, that's to have those 2 books and then fill out the original art as well. That's great.
Yeah, and I just thought I would show this off too, just to be a completionist. Is that I do have a copy of Turtles.
Oh my!
Hey, love George Takei. But yeah, so this is what's funny is this would be considered a lower grade copy of a first print.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter, right?
Who cares?
I also
some of us make a living in the low grade category on some of these books.
Some of us float around that 6.5 worth of a paycheck. That's fine.
And I did buy it during the comic boom because I definitely had a little bit of FOMO because I was more into the gobbledygooks and the original art when I was buying stuff. And I actually had sold my Turtles one when I was in college. I had like a 9.4 and I sold it for like nothing, like $2,000 way back when. And then they just went insane. I was like, I'm never going to get one of these again. I need to get one now.
Yeah.
So this copy would be a lot better, but it has restoration removal up here, which is kind of, it's kind of gross, but hey, it's a blue label. It's a 6.5. It's
in my opinion, when it comes to holy grails, like what you're holding, if they have restoration removed, who cares? Like now you got yourself a blue label. It's at a very respectable 6.5. At least now it's on an 8.0 purple label where people kind of have that shunned type of attitude when it comes to books.
First printing.
Yeah, and first printing.
It's
like
not the consolation prize.
No, here we go.
It's the original.
It ain't that silver medal, baby. It's gold the entire way. Yeah, but good for you, Jamie. That's a hell of a book.
Ladies and gentlemen, Retro Rocket Comics in the house.
So those are the independent books I'm going to show. So
phenomenal.
Those are that's where my passion was when I was a kid. And what you mentioned about the purple label, understand where people buy purple labels, but in my personal collection, I typically avoid them if I can, just because of the value difference that I see, and the values are all over the place. They're a little more consistent in the lower grades for Golden Age, but in the higher grades, depending on what kind of restoration is on the book, like you have to really know what's going on with that book if you're going to buy it. And it's just not a game I like to play with my collection. But
with Golden Age books, I don't generally have a problem with restoration, simply because it was a common practice at the time. And just like an old car, you know what? Sometimes I want to have a nice restored car, an old car. So but again, I understand the collectors who like the original and like all the wear and tear on it. So it's just a matter of sometimes for me, what's available, and what price range is it? And but
it makes
modern
sense.
books, I understand. It's like, with a modern book like that, it's like, that's
like for the car example is great. Like if I could get a 71 Cuda black, like all restored, that's what I would want. I really don't want the original one. I want one that looks really nice.
I don't want a bunch of patina all over it and
sunspots and rust. Yeah.
Exactly.
I want that thing to shine, right?
Exactly. Nice choice in cars, though, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I would love that shark girl. It's just like it's like the original Phantasm car, right?
Right.
It's awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to go.
Hey, that's a great reference right there. I stopped for a second. Oh my God, that's right. Yes,
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. and I think that one had a Hemi in it. But I'd have to check again. But yeah, it's a great car.
That's pretty good, Jamie. Pretty good.
All right.
So I'm going to jump into the Golden Age, and I think maybe we'll do a break between my DCs and my Fawcett's, and that'll give you your segue.
That works.
For the giveaway. So kind of like my copyright stuff, the stuff I'm going to show, I've showed on my channel before. They're pretty big books. So my collection also, the way I collect, I'm constantly whittling down the collection to bigger books and a smaller collection. So I've actually been trying to consolidate lately. So some of these
and you've been upgrading.
I have, trying
just a little bit on a few of them, just leaps and bounds.
I'll show a few of my upgrades as we go through. Okay, so this book is a pretty rare one. So this is New York World.
Hello, nurse.
Yeah, so it's a key. It's the first appearance of the Sandman. It's the Blonde Superman. It's a 6.5. So this is like the top 10% for this book. The highest grade, I think, is a 9.0, and there's like one of them. It has, so what's tough about this book is that it's square bound. It has the actual cover is glued to the internal part of the book, and it very easily detaches. So to find a copy that's not detached, that's why it's so hard to get the higher grades in this. It's also very common. It originally had a 25-cent sticker on it price, which, as you can imagine, in 1939, like who had a quarter, right? That's like $10 or something for a kid.
Yeah, comics were usually 10 cents back then. So
yeah. So many will have this sticker that just is put over the 25-cent original mark. So that usually doesn't ding the grade too much. And this is the first appearance, or first appearance of the Golden Age Sandman, which, as everyone knows, is a member of the JSA. And it didn't used to be considered the first appearance. This used to be considered the first appearance, which is an adventure party. Okay. And this book is my grail. So when I started collecting in the 90s and I started reading Sandman Mystery Theater, which was about the Golden Age Sandman, this was the book I wanted. I didn't want Action 1. I didn't want Detective 27. I wanted this book. So for me, as a collector today, everything that I do now is just a bonus because this is the one that I wanted. And I know collecting is different for different people, but for me, getting that like one grail that I wanted really made a difference. I had to get this one though because they changed the first appearance, and I was like, well, I have to have the first appearance now, even though I prefer this book.
Now, were you able to get the Adventure Comics with the first appearance notation before they changed it, or is that why you have two books that say first appearance?
No, so this one says first conceived story. So
Okay.
my understanding is that they had written the story for this. This was going to come out, and then the New York Fair was happening a few months before. So they put a Sandman story inside that book, intending this to really be the first appearance. So this is more of like the first story really that was ever written. So it's one of those funny things in the community where some people will still say this is the first appearance, even though one came out earlier.
It's an interesting gambit.
Yeah. This book is still much more valuable though. It's still more sought after. It is rarer. So the DC titles in general, for some reason, they're so much scarcer than Fawcett titles and some of the other ones. Mm-hmm. They just didn't survive. I don't know why. Maybe the distribution wasn't as much,
or the book burning.
The book burning.
Except in Fawcett, you would think Fawcett would have been just as impacted by that, same as recycling drives and everything else. Yeah. So it just comes down to a question. There must have been less issues distributed or out there. Is the only thing that does make sense. Yeah. Or the paper was just garbage compared to Fawcett. Fawcett had some good paper.
Yes, they did. Aside from Captain Marvel 1, they did have really good paper. And also Fawcett started a little later. Like you think Wiz came out in 40. So, this is from 1939. You think Action 1 is from like 37 or 38. Comics weren't even really a thing yet. They were still trying to figure out what is a superhero supposed to even look like, right? Like this is like almost like a prototype. Like they're kind of throwing it out there saying, okay, does this stick? Does Batman stick? Does Superman stick? Now, clearly the Sandman didn't stick, like this style of character, but it was a very experimental era in comics, which, and I like the noir stuff. So
confirmed 1940.
Yeah.
Okay. February 1940.
Okay. So kind of keeping in this sort of like JSA Adventure Comics arena, I'll show off this book. This is an Adventure 48. So this is another really rare book. I recently picked this up from Reese's Rare Collectibles. I'd been hunting for one of these for a while. Now, this is the first appearance of the Golden Age Hour Man. And versions of the Hour Man have sort of survived into present day.
Yes.
There's only about 30 copies of this known to exist in universal grade, which make it a really tough issue to find. Me and a few other collectors, like there's a Keston's Old School Comics, like we kind of go back and forth on whether this is a good cover or not. Like his face is a little funny on it, but when you put it next to the other Adventure Comics, it really looks nice. So it's kind
of bring it a little bit closer to the camera. Let's take a.
You see the face? It's just something about it.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, right? And this book has like a bit of I think it's like a sun shadow here. So that kills the grade on this one. But again, anytime you can pick up a universal grade early 1940s DC title.
Yeah, these first cover appearance stuff, these aren't just like, they're not like candy. It's not like you just pick them up everywhere. They're just these are few and far and in between.
I've been looking for this book for about 3 years, and I bought a book from a seller called Beto's Collectibles, and I actually had him looking for me. So he was the one who actually found it for me. So this is one of the great things about being part of the comic collecting community, is that you get to know people and then they start looking out for stuff for you, and you're able to get books that wouldn't necessarily find their way into your collection, right?
Right. Yeah, because these aren't books that just pop up in your local LCS. They're not books that you readily find necessarily on eBay searching stuff or Shortbox or anything else. And these are books that when you find them, if you really want it, you end up paying whatever it is, because they just aren't you can't go, there's no fair market value on it because they don't sell frequently enough. It's opportunity and whether or not how badly do you want it and how willing are they to get rid of it.
Sometimes when a book comes up for sale, I like make an offer on it, and I it's funny because in my mind I'm like, I'll pay whatever the seller wants for this book.
Right.
But you're like, oh, please take this offer, right? Like, I hope they don't know how much I want this particular book. This was a book that I'll just say I think I got an okay deal on. I don't think it was horrible.
As long as you're happy with it in the end, that's all that matters.
I think this early DC stuff is a great investment. I would be lying to say I'm not a little bit of investor. I'm a collector, but I also like to see the things that I buy go up in value. I think it's human nature.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
for the most part, if I didn't think it was ever going to go up, I might not spend the kind of money I spend on some of my books. But
Exactly. You like to think of them that at least it's a stability of principle that down the road, if you really need to, it's there for you. Why not? Makes us feel better.
well, in times like this, it's tough too, because there's definitely a lot of books that have dropped. I've noticed Silver Age keys have dropped quite a bit. Golden Age keys, some of them too have dropped, modern books. So, but what do they say? The only people that get hurt on a roller coaster are those who jump off.
Well, and really, I mean, if we talk about the current market, I mean, it's really more of a correction because it had spiked so ridiculously. And if you eliminate that spike, you just chop that off and you look at it, we have prices today that are slightly higher than they were 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They've still gone up for the most part. It's not like they've crashed down, but we've just eliminated the blip that went ridiculous. And so that's fine. At the end of the day, looks like long-term investing versus short-term investing if you're investing.
Yeah. No, I think that you're absolutely right. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, you look at even the numbers on the apps and you see this big spike and then this bit of a correction. And there's a nice gradual line.
It only sucks for those people who actually are actively selling books where they sold off their inventory and were happy to make loads of money during the spike and boom and got record profits, but then had to replenish their inventory at that time. And they now are sitting in a depressed market and trying to get top dollar for books that don't exist in today's at prices that don't exist in today's market. And that's where you then have some of those funded people are having to go, oh, I'm taking a bath. And you go, well, that's your problem. You weren't complaining 2 years ago when you were reaping record profits, were you?
Right. Dollar cost averaging even among dealers.
Exactly, right? Awesome.
So I got another Adventure Comics book, another key, and that's this one, which is the first.
Holy cow!
Yes.
I picked this one up from Automatic Comics a while back. This was part of his core collection for a while, and I put it for sale. And I said I have to have that one. Again, I love Golden Age GSA, so my goal is to put together the whole team eventually.
Oh my!
Some of those characters around that table they're very pricey. Look at Green Lantern, Flash.
Yes, Alan Scott. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can end up
Jimmy, what does it say on the right side of that blue label right there?
Right here?
On the right side of the blue label.
Up on the
CGC label, yeah.
Right here. It says, first appearance of Starman, Ted Knight, full page ad for World's Best Comics #1.
Which turned out to be World's Finest.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And what I love about these early adventure comics, you still have these little like Sandmans in the corner or in the center on a lot of them, which is cool. So one of the rare things about these Golden Age titles is when you have the first appearance and the first cover appearance be the same. Like many really important characters like Dr. Fate, Aquaman, they didn't appear on the cover of their first appearance. And that really affects, I think, the value. Not so much for Aquaman, but for some of the other titles, I think it really does affect it. So to get the character on the cover and to have it be a cool cover, I think is really nice. And again, the Starman was a character, at least the the Jack Knight Starman, his son. That series in the 90s was what really got me into reading DC specifically. Right. So, DC has a lot of like legacy stuff and passing the torch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, you're
this,
right about Jack Knight because Ted Knight was a little too close for comfort. So yeah, that's a hell of a grade there, 2.5.
hey, I'll take it, right?
Yes.
So, but yeah, if anyone hasn't read that series, it's really fun, and it actually ties into the next book. So that Starman series from the '90s introduced me to the Shade, and the Shade. If you're unfamiliar with the Shade, he's an anti-hero. He's appeared off and on in. He only appeared once in the Golden Age, several times in the Flash series in the Silver Age, and then was sort of retconned in the '90s to be more of like an anti-hero. So almost like a pseudo JSA member that would sort of come in and out. But he really helped Jack develop into the character he became in that series. And so what this is the first appearance of the Shade, which is Flash 33. This is also a classic cover of World War II. So V for victory as they're dropping bombs on, I think that's Japan.
So we have a propaganda cover from Flash featuring Hawkman. Is that on the front there?
Yep, that's Hawkman
Yeah.
literally dropping bombs, and his eagle's dropping bombs too. So pretty wild, right? That's the South Pacific. But it's kind of funny, this flashing a peace sign as he's dropping bombs. But I know back then the peace sign meant victory.
Right.
At least during World War II, sort of different.
Yeah.
But again, this is the only appearance of the Shade in the Golden Age, and a key character who has also appeared in the Stargirl season 2. He was one of the main figures in that, where he also played sort of the anti-hero, but also a supportive character. So I don't know if anybody watched Stargirl. I'm sort of a sucker for all that trash that's on the CW.
We had a few fans in the community of Stargirl. Legion of Comics comes to mind. Couldn't stop speaking highly enough about it.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was also Jeff Johns was involved in it,
Yes.
which was cool, right? Whenever you get, because the Jeff Johns series of JSA was also something that I really loved reading, and so and that brought in again Black Adam and characters from Fawcett that weren't part of the JSA before, which really kind of that whole story arc of the JSA is cool.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of people chiming in. It was a good show.
Yeah.
Love the show. Watch the show. Good Legion of Comics. I'm glad Legion of Comics is here because Legion of Comics is probably when I think of JSA fan, one of the top 5.
Yeah, he rings the bell the loudest.
Yeah.
Hey, the JSA is a great team, and it's a team about legacy. Like when you look at the JSA #1, when they're all around the table, you see the legacy characters from the 40s there, and then the characters that they're handing sort of the baton off to.
Right.
And I just really love that about DC. Now Marvel has started to do that more, I think, but I think DC was really the first one that kind of did that. Because they had all of these characters from the 40s. Yep. They didn't know what to do with them, and they wanted to give them a sort of fresh look, right? And sometimes, having a son or having an heir is important. Okay, another big JSA book here. Those who watch my channel have seen this book probably. This is More Fun 56. This is the first cover appearance of Dr. Fate. His first true appearances in the issue before this in 55. Now, this copy has really lovely colors. The issue with it is it has some like tape and tape staining up here. These early, I think, who did this? Howard Sherman cover and art. I thought it was a Bernard Bailey cover. It's not. Bernard Bailey also did a lot of really great early DC covers. So Dr. Fate, I was hoping, at least with the Black Adam film, that Dr. Fate and Black Adam would have become much more popular characters, but that movie kind of hit some neutral notes with a lot of the community. So This book also is the first appearance of Congo Bill. I had to look up who that is, and I guess it's somebody who turns into like a gorilla. That's like their superpower, and I was like, wow, I'm surprised that didn't take off, right? So this is rounding up the JS. I got one more that I'll show related to the JSA. Actually, two more, and then you guys could take it intermission, let's say. Okay, I picked this one up recently on Instagram, and one character that I've always liked is the Spectre. There was a Spectre series in the 90s that I kind of got into, and then it like ended, which was a shame. And but the Spectre is like a really cool character because he's pretty much the wrath of God. And I've said before, like, if there was one character you would not want to meet or have come up against you, it's probably the Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the most powerful character in the DC universe, arguably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a classic Spectre cover.
Oh, God, Peter, hit me!
Yeah!
Ow!
I would love to own a first appearance, which I think it was more fun 52, but that book is like, it's like crazy price. You know, you're talking $100,000 even for a restored copy. But of the covers, there's can't remember which one. Maybe it's 54 has a really beautiful cover where he's like destroying airplanes, and then there's this cover where you have the Spectre appearing in a mirror, and these criminals. You can just look at the look on their face. It's not going to end well for these particular characters. I think in his first appearance too, the Spectre. The first time you see him, he touches somebody and turns him into a skeleton. So like, it was pretty hardcore in the 40s. Like when you were dealing with a superhero, like it was fatal. So you know, again, great early DC title.
Love the Spectre.
Yeah. And the last one I'll show is probably one of the most important books in the lot to kind of bring it all together. And those of you who follow me on Instagram know that I have this book, but it's this one.
Yeah! Yeah!
Which is the first appearance of the JSA. Yeah.
Banger alert.
Yeah.
This is a wow.
Another blue label. And again, beautiful colors, right? Like this one is a tough one to find. Nice presenting copy in a 3.0, right? And again, it has my favorite character there, the Sandman. Along, you know, of course, the Sandman sitting next to the Spectre, the most terrifying character in the DC universe. Yeah. But you know, again, just a classic book there, right?
Like, look at that lineup. My goodness.
Yeah.
Flash, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Sandman, Spectre.
And this was a very popular comic, you know, all-star comics of many of the DC titles. This one was very popular.
This is, there you go. You know, I think that we've talked about some of the firsts for this show. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, first JSA is up there on that list of epic firsts for this show, because the concept of the superhero team
was
right
here,
is originated here. This is the granddaddy of them all.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Jamie, what's the release date for that particular issue?
This one came out in winter of 1940, which is pretty remarkable when you think that they hadn't really, you know, these characters had just been introduced, and somebody at DC's like, let's put them together on a team. You know, and talk about nailing a cover, like getting it right the first time. Like, this cover is just great. Like,
just put it in perspective. That's a full winter 40. That's a year before the United States was drawn into the Second World War. Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, that one just kind of deserves one of those a secondary.
Smoke if you got them.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching OnlySlabs. We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for bringing that. Holy wow.
But yeah,
Whew.
so that's I think we could pause there. That's a good
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah,
pause
that's-
point, right?
Yeah, I think we need a refractory period there. Ladies and gentlemen, banger alert. Hit that hashtag banger alert to get entered into our drawing. We're gonna we'll spin the wheel here in a second, or spin the comment grabber, whatever. Semantics, who cares? Winner will be pulled. We'll pull out some books from the giveaway bin. Always constantly restocked. You know, I actually have so many books stacked up here for the giveaway bin because I've been shopping for the giveaway bin, and that I
Ooh.
could fill up a whole second short box full of books. But I've been seeding with some more great books, more signed books, more keys, some more Silver Age books. Great stuff in the giveaway bin. Wow. Jamie, I hate to even ask anything upcoming that while we're waiting for people to enter that in there on the channel that folks should be aware of. Any videos upcoming this week that people want to be on the lookout for from you?
I don't have any comic unboxings, but I did buy something that I think is really neat. It's kind of like a statue that I'll be unboxing on the channel soon. It's a HasLab thing. I'll say that.
Awesome.
But as you can imagine, I have to titrate the number of books I buy because it's like
you can't pick those up every week. Either that or maybe you are a national or have a paycheck or a checkbook like the national government. I don't know.
Hopefully my debt's not as bad.
Right. Chris, how about yourself? What's coming up other than the 30 days of Walmart packs? Anything else coming up on the channel? Don't forget to check out that series ongoing. We're in day 24 now, so a few days left in the month, but 30 days, 30 Walmart packs you've been unboxing.
It's been a hell of a ride. But you know what? The streak continues. As you know, I always put an eBay value versus the price that I paid for the pack. And every single DC pack, there's been more value on the secondary market than what I paid. Now, a couple times was just skin of your teeth kind of thing, but there was a few where it was more than double than the value of the pack itself. But other than that,
are you going to do a summary of what the whole 30?
We're gonna save the grand finale for the 30th. Right. But yeah, but on top of that, last week was a very special Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks. Mark and myself actually were together, first time ever, and recorded a video. We have a new intro. We actually have a new outro as well, thanks to DJ Links. Make sure you check out Two Cool Guys tomorrow when it drops. And this Wednesday, I'll be going live for a new Comic Book Day Hangout. Show us what you got, where we're going to be featuring, or the guests, hopefully, will be featuring 2 weeks worth of brand new books, because this past Wednesday, Show Us What You Got was a Heroes Con exclusive where a lot of people came on showing the books that they just picked up.
Yeah.
Bob?
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and spin it and see who wins it. What do you say here? Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. Wheel of Fish. And our winner of the first pool is Shop for Comics. Phenomenal. All right. Let's go ahead and hide that. Let's go ahead and put me into this big mode for a second. Now, Jamie, you're going to be picking books in this first round for Shop. Shop likes Spider-Man. So you need to pull Spider-Man books. No pressure. So give me what I'd like for you to do is we're going to pull 6 books. So give me a number between 1 and 10 from the front, 1 and 10 from the back, or we can do some back to front and let it ride and you just tell me when to stop.
How about you just move your finger and I'll tell you when to stop.
You got it. There we go.
Stop.
Okay. Do we want the book in the front, back, or on either side of my finger?
Let's take the one in the back.
One in the back. All right. Hold on. I got to hide the hide what we got here. Okay. We'll just keep doing the back to front.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Stop.
Okay.
And take one from the back. Yeah.
One from the back again. Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Grab 2.
Okay, both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 4.
All right. Stop and grab 2.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's see what you got here.
Hope I got you a Spider-Man.
Okay, so several of these will have Pokemon cards courtesy of Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. I think, yeah, not all of them though, because we did run out. Anyways, right out of the bat, first up here, I know that Brian LCS has started to populate his box with this, but I've been doing it first. Ladies and gentlemen, banger, X-Force number 1, polybagged. I got a billion of them, and they're coming your way. So there you are, sir. First out of the bat, first X-Force number 1. Next one here. See, this is, what is it? This is signed book. God bless America. Stupid Pokemon cards in the way. By William Messner Loeb. It is the Max 1/2.
Now, I would have guessed that would have been signed by Sam Keith, but that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, COA from Dynamic Forces there on the back. Certificate number 2398.
Bottom tier collector, possibly, probably not.
Yeah, not worth 10K, but I mean, I don't know what cards are in them. Ladies and gentlemen, the mighty Thor.
Oh, Walt Simonson, baby! Look at that big shiny UBC. Yeah. Yes.
Everybody loves those hero banners.
Yeah, that could be a good submission right there to the upcoming Walt Simonson CGC signing.
How about Weapon H, issue number 1?
Nice.
Looks like it's a variant edition.
Yep, it is a variant edition according to the bottom corner there. And I can't really read the writing of who the artist is. Oh, how about a facsimile shop? You want the first Iron Man, the big premiere issue?
That one's clean.
Yeah. I think that was pretty recent release there. Oh, and last but not least here, sorry, no Spider-Man for you, but how about the Boy Scout Superman blue, red and blue number 1? Look at that cover.
Very nice. I think that's the cover I picked up when that was released.
All right. Congratulations to your shop. We'll be getting those books out to you later today. I believe I have all your information. If not, I'll ping you to get that. But I'm pretty sure we've sent stuff to the shopper. All right.
What happens when a DC collector pulls the books?
Well, I've been making a concerted effort to not make the box quite so heavily Spider-Man, just because I like Spider-Man. Try to mix it up. All right, cool. All right, second half, second verse, same as the first, a whole lot louder, but not worse, right?
Well, I'm trying to tone it down a little here on the second half, but I think so. For those of you who love Fawcett books, I have a special place in my heart for those. So my first Golden Age comic I ever bought was a Bullet Man number 2. And I don't own that anymore. It's actually a cool cover where you have Bullet Man and Bullet Girl on the same cover.
Yes, that's actually a very sought after book.
Yeah, it's a really neat pose, but this one it's kind of up there with that. So I got a Captain Marvel Adventures number 1.
Nothing.
Yeah, and these ones are really tough. So these books were made on really poor paper stock, and that's why I think over 50% of the census is like 1.5 or below or something like that. It's something crazy. So this is in the top 50% of the census, and the highest grade of this out there is a 5.0. And it's all because the paper stock on this first issue was so bad. Now Fawcett later became, and I think Jerry the Jitterbug said this on your channel, said that the paper stock actually became really good, and that's super true, except for this comic.
Right.
And it's specifically the cover. I don't know what kind of paper stock they used. It was like rice paper. It sucked.
Now, could that have something to do with the amount of books that were published? Because Captain Marvel was the most popular one coming out of Fawcett publication, right? Like, is it because it was such mass produced that they just went with the lower quality versus the stuff that didn't?
Probably more of a rush job to get
Yeah.
the publishing deadline. What they wanted wasn't available, and it's just a comic book. It was.
I don't know.
It wasn't Life magazine. You're right.
Yeah, these were just. It was just kids, still seen as kid stuff for the most half the time, and just an afterthought.
So this one, most of them, the ones that are lower grade, have a complete spine split. So you often see cover completely split and detached. You often see sometimes people, for some reason, ripped off the back cover. So I've seen a few copies that are 0.5s that have had the back cover ripped off. Probably some kid put it on his wall because he liked it, right? Because it has like lizard men on the back, right?
Or the cover split and they just lost the back cover.
Exactly. This particular copy, what's really dinging it is the fading. And you'll see this with a lot of Captain Marvel books. They faded a lot. So what's cool about this too is that actually Joe Simon and Jack Kirby have art in this. Now, you don't think of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby as being like Fawcett writers and artists, but they worked on this very early Captain Marvel stuff. And that's one of the reasons I think Captain Marvel 1 is so cool, is because it actually has art from those famous creators in there.
Yeah.
And this was a tough one. There's a seller out there named Blizzard who I think has most of these like hidden away somewhere. And once in a while he'll release one and I'll try to get it. So those of you who follow my channel also know that I'm a huge Mr. Mind fan. So Mr. Mind is this very whimsical worm character. And what's interesting about Mr. Mind and Fawcett is that Mr. Mind started what was called the Monster Society of Evil serial. And that was almost a 2-year storyline that included Mr. Mind basically running this evil villains group and Captain Marvel trying to thwart them. So it's the first time in comics you see sort of this continuous arc of storyline that goes on for more than 1 or 2 issues, which at that time you didn't see in DC or in other titles. So this book is a pedigree. It's a Crawley pedigree. And for those people who are interested in Fawcett books, Crawley pedigrees are special because he was the editor for Captain Marvel. So some of these are file copies. Some of these were part of his personal collection. And they're usually like mid to high grade. They're usually not like mile high copies like 9.6. A lot of them you'll see they're like in the 7.0, 8.0 range. And they generally have not the greatest page quality. Like this one has light tan to off-white, which is usually about as low as I will go when I'm buying books. I'm definitely not a fan. Oh, I thought I blinked out there for a second, but
no, you're good.
Okay,
Remy, I was just taking down Remy's claim.
So this is Mr. Mind's first appearance, but also I know when Jerry the Jitterbug was on your show, he was kind of talking about like, well, is it Mr. Mind's first appearance? Is it, So Mr. Mind has like 4 first appearances. It doesn't make sense, right? So in this book, which is the first Monster Society of Evil serial, you hear his voice on a radio. So you don't know that he's a worm, okay? In this next book, which is...
so it's like Mary Jane here. We're getting like 1 billion first appearances, but they're like teasing it with like, oh, we don't really see
or
it.
Dark Side, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the first time you actually see Mr. Mind, but you don't know it.
That's an 8.5, everyone.
Yeah, this is a tough one to get in high grade. This is, a great
because
flag
Jamie owns it and isn't giving it up.
So, people collect flag covers, and Fawcett had some of the best flag covers and patriotic covers. Like I see one behind you, I think, Rob.
Is this one? He's just holding up a Captain Marvel exploration, like he's in the Antarctic. This is issue.
That's not a World War II one. Okay.
No. It's issue 103. It's just it's an inexpensive book that was like when I was initially building my Golden Age display, I was
Okay.
just getting a sample of different characters. I didn't care to spend a lot of money. I just wanted books that presented well initially, and that's what I started doing. And then I slowly started increasing the quantity and quality of some of the Golden Age books I pick up. But
what's great about Fawcett is that you can still get some key first appearances within the Fawcett titles for relatively cheap, and I'll show off a few of those towards the end of the group of comics I'm showing. But you know, having like the combination of a first appearance and then a classic World War II sort of like cover, I think is important. This one too, I don't know, the colors seem a little faded to me, and I'm wondering if that's why the grade got hurt. But sometimes I don't know if that was just ink registration back then, like towards the end of the print run where things get a little low and the ink cartridges, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little orange compared to, it would be brighter reds, given that normally, because generally those are pretty vibrant. Well, actually, you know what?
Well, I'm trying to see. I've got the other one here. I'll do a comparison. So here's a comparison. So this other book is what would be considered Mr. Mind's true first appearance when you actually hear, you see him and he's introduced as the worm. And so you see the color difference in the two. And this is, this is really what Captain Marvel is supposed to look like, bright red. They call him the big red cheese, you know? So if he's not he doesn't look like a piece of big red cheese, and it's probably not.
And that's on the white background though, because when I go to mine, and I'm gonna switch just for a second here.
Okay.
It's like you'll see with the orange background again, it's that kind of, it doesn't, I don't know if it's because of the orange background as well that it doesn't necessarily, the reds and the orange just don't pop quite the same, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I have seen variations from cover to cover in terms of how he's presented. So yeah, it may have just been the way that it was printed. This book, I've been trying to upgrade this one for a long time. This is a really tough book to upgrade because it's from 1943. It's a white cover, and you know, it shows any little bit of blemish. This copy also has white pages, which again, anything from this era with white pages is very rare.
Yes.
I actually did try to get this one crack pressed and regraded, and it came back as the same grade, which was kind of a bummer. I was really hoping I would get a little bit of a bump from this one, you know. So, but it's a beautiful book, and again, Captain Marvel, Mr. Mind, these characters are close to my heart.
I love the way he's just chucking a bomb like a football.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I know Jerry the Jitterbug likes all my crazy Captain Marvel books.
Yeah.
So this book has a little bit of a controversial cover. I'll just say that because of the depiction of how Chinese people were displayed on it. You know, the way they were depicted.
Yeah.
This would have been a Chinese general that was like in support of the war effort against Japan. That's my understanding. So this was like a depiction of an ally, which again is still, you know, in the early 40s, some of these early Captain Marvel titles, there was a lot of controversy about them, and even protests in the 40s at Fawcett in New York about that, which, you know, I think we could, you know, say that some of the depictions were probably not that great. But this book is the first cover appearance of Mr. Mind, and that's what makes this one like a special book. It's also very tough to get in higher grade. I have another copy that has pretty bleached out colors. So tough to find. There is a Promise Collection pedigree that I was hunting for a while, but I don't think I'm going to get it. So, I'm kind of speaking of the Promise Collection. I don't know if anybody out there kind of got caught up in the FOMO of the Promise Collection.
Wow.
This is the only Promise Collection book that I own. And it's a key because it's the second cover appearance of Mr. Mind. It's a Captain Marvel 38 or 39, excuse me. And I think the Promise Collection books are really nice. I'm not saying that they're all overvalued. Some of them have really maintained their value very well. I just know there was they came out during that comic boom time where people were just paying such high prices for comics. I think some of that correction you guys talked about earlier is happening right now with those. And I don't necessarily mean that the people are not interested in the collection still. I just think that the prices were probably a little higher than they normally would have been, even if it just had been 2 years before or right now. But here again, you see the colors are a little, more of an orange depiction, and I'm guessing that's probably printer.
Yeah.
Don't think that's fading. So nice back
Baby
cover.
Ruth, rich and dexterous, baby.
And,
I can't believe. I mean, I saw every time I see a Baby Ruth ad on the back of these golden age, it's always rich and dexterous. It's like,
it was the power bar of like the 1940s.
Right.
You had peanuts in it. It was a protein bar, right?
Are you hangry? How about Baby Ruth?
Yeah. Daily dose of diabetes. Yeah. So another.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah! Yeah!
So
wow.
This is a book I bought loose, and I had it prepped and graded.
9.0.
Yeah, I once in a while I went to a show and I bought this loose, and I thought it had a chance for a 9.0. But I was kind of thinking it was going to end up in the 8 range, so I was really pleased. This is the last appearance of Mr. Mind in the Monster Society of Evil serial. It also is the only cover appearance of the alligator men from the planet Funkus, which is, was in the Shazam movie, the first one. And I think the director actually played the alligator men in the film. So an oddball character, but sort of important to the early the Captain Marvel books.
Wow.
So and this one presents really nice.
Jamie, did you have that cleaned and pressed, or did you just sent it in the way that you picked it up?
I sent it to CGC and let them clean and press it, which usually means they barely press it.
Right.
Because I've sent stuff there, and I don't know what their cleaning is, but the book looks just as grungy when I get it back. So I've learned my lesson with that.
It's light cleaning at best. Yeah. It's like they take one of those I even remember these almost like a rosin bag and just kind of like
Is that all they do? Yeah, I've learned my lesson. Luckily, this book already was really clean. Now, was it clean and pressed before I bought it? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
What's great about these early Fawcett books, though, is because the paper stock is so thick for the most part, they actually clean and press really well.
Yeah.
I've had some of these books clean and pressed that they look really ugly, and then they look great. So I don't know why that is, but
I've talked to the Rogue Trader who does. Perfect segue here as it's scrolling across the screen here, who does a lot of my pressing, who's by trade, he's a document preservationist, or by education rather. And he's mentioned that a lot of times that those older books they do a much better job because of the type of paper and everything else of taking presses and hydration and all those things far, far better than any of the modern books do. So he actually much prefers doing these older books, and they're a little more forgiving apparently as well too. So
I'll give you an example. So I had a Shazam 28 that was I had cleaned and pressed. So that's the second appearance of Black Adam, and it got graded, and it came back, and it was like wavy in the case, like seriously wavy. And I've seen that with some of these modern books, is you get them clean and pressed, and then they after a while, it's like the paper is so thin, they start to ripple. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but I'm horrified.
I have it on several books actually, and it depends. I think because Golden Age books aren't exactly all the same size, it really depends upon whether or not they try to take one of the larger formats and squeeze it into the normal case. CBCS is notorious for this because they up until recently only had the one size slab. So most of the Golden Age books I have where this experiences, like some of the early famous funnies and stuff like that, they have this wave inside there because when you look at it, you realize they just kind of like squeezed it into the slab. And that's my feeling based on my observations of where that is. Because it's always ones where the book goes right to the edges, especially at least on older books.
So I think you're right, because that's what happened actually with this book, which is Captain Marvel 79, another Crawley copy. This is the first appearance of Takitani, the tiger. And this book actually had come back damaged from CGC. I wanted it in the custom label, but they had put it in a case that was just too small, or the way that they had put it in there was too small. And it had like a noticeable ripple when you looked at it sideways. Right. So luckily, after a little finagling with them, they actually agreed to recase it, and it looks fine. But yeah, it was definitely a problem with this particular book. And this is a pretty tough book to find in high grade because of the dark colors.
Yes.
Now, what's a shame is that it isn't the first cover appearance of Mr. Tawny, which is
there you go.
Book,
oh my goodness.
Which is the Infinity. Now, it's just so sad that this is not the first appearance, because this cover is so vibrant,
great.
It's so beautiful, right?
My
It just
goodness.
pops. And again, as somebody from the 1980s who loved anthropomorphic characters, like this is the tie-in, right? For me, was stuff like Takitani, who also in the film made a few appearances. Yeah.
Remy, you have to get us your question. We'll definitely forward it on here.
Yeah. But beautiful, beautiful books to find in higher grade. Now, it was a shame, there was a lot of, in the first Shazam film, there was a lot of Mr. Tawny references, which I was hoping would lead into a Mr. Tawny appearance of some sort on the Rock of Eternity in Shazam 2 that never really materialized, which was a missed opportunity in my opinion.
Thank you, Marty, for the super chat. You now got us we're now, thanks to your super chat of $2, we're just about like $4 away from hitting $200 for this month. Want to thank you very much for that super chat. And as of course, here you go. Everybody loves the classic.
It's the classic.
Thank you very much, Marty, for that. Okay, here we go. Oops, where I just lost it. Here Remy's question: What are you going to collect after I've claimed all these Captain Marvels? Okay.
Spider-Man. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Nobody collects Spider-Man. You might as well.
Yeah. Mark.
What? Did I miss something? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, well,
thank you very much, Legion of Comics.
Yes,
we have now officially hit our $200 for the month for Comics Curing Cancer. Thank you so much for making that happen. For you shall get the other tried and true.
Time I ever asked for anything I really wanted.
Yes, and Brian LCS. Thank you guys all so much for all that. I want to get a third and a fourth option on the spin.
That
wheel.
Shoulder motion from the back gets me every time.
All right.
Oh,
Sorry
Lord.
about the interruptions, but we got to do business. It's got to be business, right?
Hey, it's good stuff. Well, you know,
And
I was going to
surely
say
we can't be serious.
I would like to actually donate $100 to Comics for Cancer for you, because you can see I spent a lot of money on comics. I'm happy to also give some money to a good cause. So after this, we'll talk about that. But
I'll forward you the link because it's a direct
do.
for anybody who is curious. Of course, it is also in the community, but thing and on my link tree. But I'll get you the link directly where you can go directly to the portal for the American Cancer Society, make the donation directly under our campaign, and get added to the total. Thank you so much for your generous donation, Jamie. That is
Wow.
great, because we all say that, we say it all the time, but cancer is the true evil villain. Everybody, I don't know anybody who hasn't been affected in some way by cancer. So that's why we're so happy to be a part of this great campaign, originally conceived by cardboard crazies, and it's just kind of fallen into our lap, and we run with it, and we're happy to be a great part of this thing.
It's a wonderful cause, and I'm happy to support it.
Phenomenal. Thank you. All right. What else we got? Anything else, or are we did we reach the end?
I got 2 more books if you guys have time.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
2. One is my favorite Golden Age cover.
Ooh.
And the second is just a really a big book. I'll just say that.
Okay.
So, Rob, you know, you said I've been upgrading. Now I know I've been upgrading one book in particular.
Yeah.
A lot. And now I have a lot of copies though, but their value has dropped, so I have to hold on to them for a while. But I wanted to show the highest graded copy of a book that I've been actively upgrading over the last, like, let's say, year and a half. And that is this one, which is
This is my best ever!
my copy of Marvel Family #1.
Oh my goodness.
It's a 7.0. It has off-white to white pages. The thing that's killing this book is it's hard to see, there's like a little like foxing. I don't know if you can see the little dots.
The Rock says it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Rock says it exactly. So
oh my goodness.
So I got this one from Semper Fi Comics, and Semper Fi was trying to get a much bigger grail, so I think I got a fairly decent deal on it, and I bought it now in the dip. And this is an example of buying the dip. Like right now, comic prices, Silver Age prices, some Golden Age titles are really good deals out there.
Yeah.
But the problem is I have like a few other of these books, and this is not a good time to sell them. You know? So I just got to sit on them for a little while. But I'm, to get above a 6.0 in this is just tough. This would be in the top 20% of the census now.
Wow.
For this book, there's I think like 139 of them graded now in universal grade.
Yeah. Jamie, would you mind doing us a pleasure of reading us what's on the right side of that blue label for all the hardcore fans out there?
So, origin and first appearance of Black Adam, Uncle Marvel appearance.
Wow. It's a great time to sell. Hit rev me up.
And
it doesn't matter what your flaw is.
On the back. You know, it's funny, when I first bought my first copy of Captain or Marvel Family #1, I used to think this red ink was like staining, and then I found out that it's on every copy. So it's just part of the printing, but it's really, really funny. Yeah. So, the Black. Wow. So I became a Black Adam fan through the Jeff Johns JSA series. Like I didn't really know anything about Black Adam until then. And that was the version of the character I really wish we would have seen on the big screen, who would have sat on that throne and not got off at the end. He's an a-hole, but he does good stuff once in a while, and that's why you love him. Okay, so I got this is my favorite cover. I like this cover so much I actually wrote a university paper about it.
Oh,
yeah. I had a copy of this. I sold it when I was in college, and I only recently was able to pick one up again. It is a Fawcett comic, and it is Captain. Captain Marvel Jr. #4. This is a really nice presenting 4.0.
Yes.
That looks like a modern day variant. That's how beautiful that book is.
It's beautiful.
Incredible.
So
Wow.
this is a Mac Raboy cover, and he did most of his work on Captain Marvel Jr., which I know when Jerry was on your channel, he talked about how Elvis Presley styled his hair off of Captain Marvel Jr. He loved Captain Marvel Jr. And this cover captures the romance, the beauty, the devastation, everything that was the golden age in World War II.
Yeah.
This cover has it all. You have this character in the who knows what is exploding, and he just stands there with brilliance and fortitude, just like the U.S. did in World. I don't know why. I just have always connected with this cover.
Would you bring that a little bit closer to the camera? I mean, that's just such a beautiful.
So
yeah, look at that.
Just such a phenomenal cover, and you know, Raboy is just a true master artist. So that's all I got today.
Holy Toledo! Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm look, folks. You guys who watched in some of the chat rooms, I told you guys that this show was going to be great.
And damn,
Jamie delivered like no tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your amazing collection with us and giving us some insight to some of those books that have never made it onto our show. Whew.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our next giveaway. Go ahead and hit that hashtag OnlySlabs. We'll be giving away some more books from the pull box, do another set of pulls. Also want to remind everybody a couple of different things while you're go ahead and hitting that. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It helps. It all goes to Comics Curing Cancer. Thanks to all the channel members. Again, next week we will be giving away, or we'll be recognizing our channel member, our henchman of the month. Join us next week, actually. Sabatin Ken is going to be on it. And let me tell you, it's going to be another banger fest.
Yeah.
Some incredibly, not just incredible books that we've seen before, but in grades that I didn't even know existed on some of these books. It's amazing. So make sure you're out for that. And while we're there, we'll do, like I said, we'll do that. Help support Comics Curing Cancer. You can also do, guys, visit the fatstacksmerch.com. All the Fat Stacks merch as well as OnlySlabs merch all goes to Comics Curing Cancer. In fact, you can save 25% off right now thanks to YouTube by looking at the scroll down below. You can go to the the merch store link on the YouTube page, click that, select your items, and at checkout use the code YTShopping25, and YouTube will cover 25% of the cost for you. And again, all the profits will go to Comics Curing Cancer. And finally, I'm beholden to, of course, recognize if you need books pressed, consider the Rogue Trader. Go to theroguetraderutah.com. You can use the code FATSTACKS at checkout to receive 20% off your pressing, including the already discounted bundles. And when you do, $10 is donated to Comics Curing Cancer. I'll actually be doing a feature coming up here pretty soon with the Rogue Trader. For those of you guys who've been monitoring stuff, the Timely Submariner book that I rescued from Australia came back. It's had full mold remediation and some other work done by the Rogue Trader. He'll be joining me. We'll be doing a special in the next couple weeks where we'll show the before and the after, see whether or not we got a grade bump or not, and talk about some of the process that went into removing mold and lightening some of the foxing on the book, and still getting the universal blue label. All right.
Thanks to Dale for dropping Jamie's YouTube link.
Yes, thank you for that. Again, make sure you visit that at Dragon Inc. Comics, both on Instagram and YouTube. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oops, go ahead and hit that there. Before we do our spin, we have to recognize, of course, Comics with Murdoch. Beautiful. Appreciate, again, another super chat. F Cancer, 100%. We agree. Oh, it never gets old. Yeah, no, it really doesn't. It's such a classic movie. All right, let's go. We got 33 out of 37 people. Again, we do ship internationally. So while I'm still talking, that means that those of you guys in the UK and Australia that have joined us, or Canada, I forget you guys are international. We love you. Go ahead and you can participate by hitting that hashtag OnlySlabs. Appreciate all the cock slam cancers. Mark created a winner with that one. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Wheel of Fish. Our winner is bang.
Boom.
Pocan Joe. Phenomenal. All right. Pocan Joe. Let's see what we can get for you, sir.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the Pocan Joe Evil Lair. If you guys don't know, check out not only Pocan Joe comic reviews, but his second channel, or the other channel, Evil Lair builds and projects. Phenomenal channel. All right, Chris.
All right.
You're going to be pulling for our friend. Thank you.
For Joe. All right.
Yeah, for Joe. What are you going to pull for him?
Well, I know Joe's tastes are wide and vast.
He likes gold, and I don't think there are. I only have one. There is one Golden Age book. I don't know if it's in here or if it's in the stack to eventually make its way in here, though.
Okay, let's go. Lucky number 7 from the front.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay.
And I see 34 people watching, so to combine those two numbers, it's 7. Let's go lucky 7 from the back.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Thank
7.
You,
Ooh.
All right, let's go front to back. And stop. Where those ones seem to be sticking up. We'll take those 2 books that your finger splits, Rob. And we'll go the opposite direction. And stop. And we'll take those 2 books. And okay, we'll see if we can try and get a Scotty Young for Mrs. Pocan.
That's it. That's 6.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens, everyone. Let's see what happens.
And I didn't see any draw agains. I'll just double check. Nope. All right. Again, many of these will come with Pokemon cards courtesy of Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. And Joe, winner. We pulled another X-Force number 1. There you go. Don't worry. I've got plenty more. Batgirl annual number 2 from the new 52, Poison Ivy and Batgirl.
That's a very nice cover.
I like that.
Very nice. In case no one's noticed, that trade dress was in gold. Hello? Just saying, hey, what's up? Okay.
This I love. Okay, so this was a fun little series. It was a short series, but Spidey number 1. And this was this series, when this came out, they were reimagining the original stories. So it was they basically kind of updated and reimagined the original Spider-Man.
Right. So they borrowed the trade dress from Spidey Super Stories, which was something that was in the late 70s, early 80s, based off the cartoons. Yeah.
Correct. How about some Space Knight ROM? What lurks within the pits?
Yeah, nice big shiny UPC code there too.
Is that a Sinkovich cover? I think he worked on those.
More than likely, I think he had the largest run.
I really
on
can't
ROM.
tell. The signature is really lost in the thing. It does not look like it. Here you go. How about DC first issue special?
Oh,
Dr. Fate.
That's a great cover.
I like that. That is neat.
So I believe that this is like the first modern appearance or Silver Age appearance or something, or Bronze Age. I guess it's Bronze Age when this was, but I think this is a key is like his first reappearance. And this one's also a minor key, first appearance of somebody. I don't remember what the character's name is, but because I'm not a Superman fan, but I'm sure our friend Mark from Legion of Comics would tell Ladies and gentlemen, Superboy issue 45. I think it's like Sunspot or something. Look at it. It says Superman 3, the movie sweepstake inside. Hey, Joe, maybe you'll win a walk-on or something in Superman 3.
I like his odds. He's a handsome devil.
So there we go, Joe. We'll get those books on out to you very much. Yeah, Rob is X-Force #1 like Lee is to Berserker. Not quite that bad, but pretty darn cool. If you don't know,
He doesn't destroy them.
Jamie, our friend Lee in Australia has like 400 copies of Berserker 1. And constantly for whack hacks. Phenomenal channel. Shout out to Whack Comics, ladies and gentlemen. Completely different set of comedy. Jamie, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on the channel and being with us for our first episode of season 4, our 101st episode. Woohoo! In the bag, guys. Again, don't forget, like I said, join us next week. God, I can't even find it again. Again, Sabat and Ken being on the channel with us. We do this every Saturday. Happy to have you guys join us. And thank you to all the channel members. And, of course, those of you guys with the super chat that got us over the $200 a month. Appreciate you all very much. We are over and out of time. So I will wrap it up. And I keep hitting the damn thing that takes away my tools. And say good night to everybody. Until next time, collect what you want. Don't listen to anyone else, including me. I'm just a fat man with a fat stack of comics and a fat opinion. Thanks for watching.